Thank you for joining us as we continue our look at the CIMA Web Seminar Series. Let's listen in as Attorney Daryl Beckman discusses those items that should be documented from the 2011 webinar, Working with National Service Management Companies.
What should you document? I can't emphasize enough that you really need to get good at documentation. One of the things I'm proud of is that some of the companies I've worked with over the years have really gotten good at documenting the work, and they're coming up with forms, and I'm looking at the forms and saying, boy, that's a great idea, where 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we had none of that. You need detailed service reports, and that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. This is not an onerous thing to do if you do it as the work is proceeding. All you need to do, you need to know what time you arrived at a site. You need to know what you did on that site. I don't need to know every 5 minutes what you were doing, but I need to know that you had 6 men hand shoveling, you had 1 snow blower, and that you had an articulated front-end loader on the site. And I need to know that you had them on the site from 9 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. I also need to know how much calcium you put down, how much rock salt you put down. I don't need much more than that. It's not that hard if you're doing it as you're proceeding with the work. Now, I understand the guys in the field aren't going to most likely be writing as they're doing their job, but there's no reason that you don't have some sort of communication set up where the guy in the field makes a call when he gets there and says, it's 9:30, I'm here, and I have 18 men with me, and this is what we're doing. And then at 4 o'clock, the guy calls and says, we're off site, this is how much calcium and this is how much sodium we put down. That's not that ridiculous to do. National service providers are going to require it. Big box stores are going to require it. As your attorney, if you get sued, I need it. I need to be able to show what you did. And I give this example all the time. But if a little old woman is on her way to Target to buy a card to give to her friend who she's going to visit at the hospital later that day, and she slips in the parking lot because there's snow or ice, and she gets hurt and she brings a lawsuit, she's going to say that that parking lot was a mess. And the only way we're going to defend that case is if you have documentation showing what you did in that parking lot. You're most likely not going to remember what the parking lot of the Target in Michigan looked like when you did the work, but if you have the documentation, you can say, well, look at this. I had 8 guys out there beginning at 7:30 in the morning, and she fell at 2 in the afternoon. We should have had that place looking great. That's how I defend the cases, by showing all the work that was done. You want route sheets with notes. You always want to have notes reflecting what was done. You want to have de-icing application sheets, liquid application sheets, dispatcher documentation, and I'm not talking about more than 1 piece of paper here. Right? This is all things that you should have on a very easy to keep form in your office. It should be one side of 1 page that you can put all of this information on. My goal is not to make a requirement on you that you can't comply with, so you won't do. If you have your men complete a 5-page report, it's never going to happen. You want to make this as easy as possible and have the basic information that's needed, which we've been touching on and which we'll continue to touch on. But it should be something very, very simple. You want to have weather logs or certified weather reports. I use a service, WeatherWorks. There's other services out there, but these are very valuable. You want to just keep them. When you pull it up in advance of the storm, just have access to it. A lot of these now can be gained online, so if you don't have it, you can usually go back and get it. But it's something that you want to have access to. Many of the national service providers or big box stores are going to pay per inch of service, and they're going to want to know how much snowfall there was. They're not going to rely on you to tell them. They may have a little question as to whether you're going to be completely honest and whether a 12-inch storm becomes 15 inches because you're paid per inch. So they're going to want to use a national reporting service and get a certified weather report for that. It's probably something that you're using in your business at this point, or if it isn't, you will be as people require more documentation. Photos of sites. I talked about this. I still really haven't seen anyone doing it, but if there's a site where there's a problem, you might want to take a photo of it so that you can show it to your customer. If there's a drainage issue, you may want to be able to show your customer what it looks like when the drainage is coming from the roof and freezing on the walkway. You also might want to take a photo of a place where there's a ponding problem and resulting in freezing so that you can supply that to the NSP or the big box store. I have not yet seen people take photos of the finished product, and by that I mean once they're done, take a photo of the site to show how good it looks. There's no reason you can't do that, and I guarantee you, as cell phones get better and better, people are taking photos of that little spot of ice where they slip after they fall. I'm seeing that in probably about a third of my cases right now, maybe a quarter of them. 5 years ago, we never saw it, but now people are taking photos right away after they fall to document what the area looked like. So there's nothing wrong with you taking a photo showing that a site is in good shape. Just understand it's helpful, it's a good thing to have, but you're not going to be able to photo every single spot of a large parking lot. And if this person falls on the one spot that you missed, they're likely going to have a photo of it. So it's not absolute protection that you're going to be able to show your attorney, here's a photo showing what a good job I did, but it never hurts to have it. Incident reports are important. If you are made aware of an incident, you need to have some sort of report so that you can at least know which of your men was at the site when we go back and look at it a couple years later. Next document we're going to is the business-related documentation, and it talks about contracts requiring documentation.
If you would like to purchase the CD-ROM of this or any other past CIMA web seminar, please visit the CIMA website at www.cima.org. This program is copyright 2010 by the Snow and Ice Management Association, with all rights reserved.